All right, get ready, because today we are going deep into a world that I think most people only dream about.
Yeah.
The world of UFOs.
Right.
Or, to use the government's preferred term,
Yeah.
UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena.
That's the one.
But we're not just talking about, blurry lights in the sky here.
Right.
We're looking at some pretty extraordinary claims of a secret government program dedicated to retrieving these UAPs
Yeah.
and maybe even reverse engineering their technology.
Reverse engineering, that's the interesting part, right?
It is a very interesting part.
Yeah.
What makes this deep dive particularly fascinating is our source,
Right.
Jacob Barber, a whistleblower who claims firsthand involvement in this program.
Yeah, he says he wasn't just analyzing data from afar.
Right.
He was actually out there retrieving these objects.
That's right. This isn't just someone saying, oh, my friend's cousin's neighbor worked on a secret UFO project.
Right.
Barber says he was in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So before we get into the mind-blowing details, let's take a minute to understand who Jacob Barber is
Okay.
and why his story is turning so many heads.
Okay, well, Barber's resume is impressive, right?
Yeah?
He spent 30 years working with the government and intelligence community,
Wow.
including time in the Air Force as an aerospace mechanic,
Okay.
in combat control,
Wow.
and even special ops.
Really?
Yeah. He's received awards for heroism, and multiple sources, including a highly decorated Colonel John Blitch,
Okay.
have corroborated his background.
So we're not dealing with some, fringe conspiracy theorist here.
No.
This is a guy with serious credentials.
Yeah.
And he's putting his reputation on the line to tell his story.
Absolutely. And what makes his story different from other whistleblowers like David Grush and Lou Elizondo, who also claim the existence of a UAP retrieval program,
Right.
is that Barber claims direct involvement. He says he was actually out there in the field recovering these objects.
Okay.
That's huge.
So let's get into one of those experiences.
Okay.
Barber talks about working as a helicopter pilot,
Right.
retrieving crashed aircraft at a desert testing facility.
Yeah.
Pretty standard stuff for someone with his background.
Right.
But then things start to get a little strange.
Uh-oh.
He describes seeing objects in the sky behaving in ways that defied conventional explanation.
Really?
Stuff even an experienced pilot like him couldn't explain.
Wow.
And then comes this encounter that really kicks things into high gear.
Okay.
He describes seeing this object, this metallic, pearly white egg,
An egg.
about the size of an SUV,
Wow.
with no visible engine or thermal signature.
Hold on. No engine, no heat signature.
Yeah,
Even stealth technology isn't that advanced. What kind of physics are we talking about here?
that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests a level of technology that's far beyond anything we currently understand.
You're right.
Barber says he and his team were tasked with recovering the object, transporting it to a secure facility. And did he ever find out what it was, where it came from?
He says he wasn't told directly,
Okay.
but later members of the UAP task force implied that what they recovered was likely of non-human intelligence.
Now that's a bombshell.
It is.
But the egg wasn't the only object Barber encountered.
Right?
He also describes recovering what he called an octagon.
An octagon.
Basically, a flying disc with 8 distinct sections.
Interesting.
And this is where things take a turn into the more unusual, even the spiritual.
Okay.
As Barber approached the octagon, he describes being overwhelmed by this wave of intense emotions.
Really?
Sadness, happiness,
Wow.
a sense of beauty. Even something he describes as a song.
Wow. A song.
He attributes this to a connection with what he calls a feminine energy
Okay.
emanating from the object.
A feminine energy? That's not your typical UFO story.
It certainly challenges our conventional ideas about these objects.
Right.
It suggests there might be more to this phenomenon than just nuts and bolts,
Like
metal and wires.
right.
Could these objects be interacting with us on a deeper level, maybe even a conscious or spiritual level?
It's a fascinating concept.
It is. And it ties into something else Barber mentioned.
What's that?
Psionics.
You mean like psychic ability?
Exactly.
Okay.
Barber claims that within this UAP retrieval program, there was a real interest in psionics, individuals with alleged psychic powers who could potentially communicate with even control UAPs. He claims to have witnessed these psionic assets at work, using meditation-like techniques to interact with these objects.
You know, as wild as that sounds, the Pentagon has a documented history of investigating psychic abilities for military purposes.
Project Stargate.
Exactly.
Right, that was the government's program dedicated to researching remote viewing and other psychic phenomena.
Exactly. So the idea of a connection between consciousness and UAPs isn't entirely new. What's more, Barber's claims about psionics are corroborated by another Special Forces operator named Don Paul Bales, who says he also witnessed these abilities firsthand.
Okay, so we have a decorated veteran claiming firsthand involvement in recovering UAPs, possibly non-human technology. And now we're talking about psychic powers. This is getting pretty wild.
It is.
What could possibly come next?
Well, buckle up, because this is where things take a turn that suggests something more deliberate, more calculated is going on. Barber's experiences shift from recovering UAPs to a mission involving the recovery of stolen hard drives.
Stolen hard drives. Okay, I'm officially intrigued. We'll dive into that right after. We'll just dive right in.
Okay.
All right, so we were talking about stolen hard drives.
Yes.
Now I'm no tech expert.
Right.
What makes a bunch of computer parts so important in a world of UFOs and government secrets?
Well, these weren't just any hard drives. We're talking about drives taken from Panasonic Toughbooks.
Toughbooks.
Laptops known for being incredibly durable. And these particular laptops contain sensitive sensor data and video recordings from UAP recovery missions.
So we're not talking about someone stealing blueprints for a new fighter jet.
No.
This is evidence, potentially irrefutable proof of UAPs and the government's involvement with them.
Exactly. And according to Barber, these laptops and the data they held were illegally obtained, violating top secret protocols.
So someone was going to great lengths to cover it up, to make it seem like these recoveries never happened. It almost sounds like two separate stories, right? You have the recovery of these official alien craft, and then this whole other layer of secrecy and potentially illegal activity trying to control the information about them.
It does make you wonder what's really going on behind the scenes. Imagine if these hard drives contained concrete proof of UAPs, something that went beyond eyewitness accounts and raised questions about potential cover-ups. Whoever possessed them would have a lot of power and a lot to lose if that information got out.
So what happened? Did Barber recover these stolen drives?
He did.
Okay.
He describes recovering 2 of the Toughbooks, but the hard drives were missing.
The hard drives were missing.
Later, intelligence led them to a lake, where they found the missing drives submerged 25 feet underwater.
Wow.
In a sealed container.
So someone clearly went to a lot of trouble to hide this information.
Absolutely.
It's like something out of a spy thriller. But why all the secrecy?
What
was so sensitive about this data that someone would risk so much to keep it hidden?
That's a question that still haunts Barber today. He describes a subsequent mission where things took a dangerous turn. The original intel changed at the last minute. Things felt off, and when they arrived at their target location, shots were fired.
Shots were fired.
And the high-value targets, the people they were supposed to apprehend, were gone.
It sounds like he walked right into an ambush.
Do
you think someone was trying to silence him?
That's exactly what he feared.
Really?
Barber suspected a setup, that he was being used as what's called plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability.
Basically, it means someone could deny involvement in these activities because they had a believable excuse for being there. He felt like someone, maybe even his former employer, was trying to eliminate him and his team to cover their tracks.
Wow, that's chilling.
Yeah.
So what did he do?
Well,
did he just give up and walk away?
Not at all.
Okay.
He starts his own investigation, using his skills and network to uncover who was behind the shadow war for the missing hard drives.
Wow.
He even confronts the head of security at his former company,
Real.
suspecting something was going on, either within the organization or from outside forces.
And did he get any answers?
Not really. He was basically told to drop it, to forget about the whole thing.
Wow.
But this encounter solidified his conviction that something bigger, something potentially criminal, was at play and that it needed to be exposed.
So he realizes he can't do this alone.
Right.
That's when he formed Skywatcher, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
He puts together this team, Skywatcher,
Okay.
made up of people he knew from the UAP program and various government agencies.
Right.
Their goal was to push for government disclosure about UAPs and investigate any potential criminal activity connected to the program.
It's incredible this guy's basically going rogue.
Yeah.
To fight for transparency.
Right.
To bring the truth to light.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of guts to go up against a system like that.
It certainly speaks to his conviction.
Right.
He believes the public has a right to know what's really going on.
Yeah.
And Skywatcher isn't just talk either. They got involved in investigating those drone sightings on the East Coast last year.
Oh, really?
The ones that baffled everyone.
Right.
And then they took things a step further.
Okay.
They decided to conduct their own UAP summoning operation using, you guessed it, a psionic asset.
Hold on. They tried to summon a UFO using psychic powers.
Yes.
Did it actually work? They were actually trying to make contact using psychic abilities to call a UFO down to Earth?
Basically, yeah.
Did they get a response?
According to Barber, yes.
Okay.
But what happened next is even wilder.
Okay.
He says a second UAP appeared, and it seemed to engage the summoned craft.
Okay.
Like they were in some kind of, well, he called it a UAP dogfight.
A dogfight?
Yeah.
Like UFOs battling it out in the sky?
Yeah, he describes it as a UAP dogfight.
This is getting more and more like a sci-fi movie.
It's pretty wild stuff, and here's what's really interesting.
Okay.
Barber said the second UAP, the one that engaged in the dogfight, looked just like the egg he encountered years before.
Okay, so now we're talking about potential connections between these objects.
Right.
Maybe even communication rivalry.
Yeah. It really is.
It's like all these pieces of the puzzle, the recoveries, the psionics, the cover-ups, they're all starting to fit together.
Right.
But what happens next? Does Barber get the government disclosure he's fighting for?
Well, that's his ultimate goal.
Okay.
News Nation, in their exclusive report, revealed footage they obtained showing a helicopter retrieving a UAP that looks very much like the egg encountered by Navy fighter pilots back in 2015.
Right.
They also confirmed that Barber met with staffers for Senator Marco Rubio, who, as you know, has been pushing for more transparency from the government about UAPs.
So things are moving, even if it's slow going.
Yeah.
But what about the government's official response?
Right.
Have they acknowledged any of this?
Well, the ARO, that's the Alderman Anomaly Resolution Office.
Right.
The folks tasked with investigating all this.
Yeah.
They acknowledge they're aware of Barber's claims.
Okay.
But they deny any knowledge of programs involving extraterrestrial materials. But here's the thing.
Okay.
They don't actually deny the existence of a UAP retrieval program.
Right.
Which is what Barber is claiming.
So still a lot of, we're looking into it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But not much in the way of straight answers.
It's frustrating, but the fact that Barber is going public,
right,
and we have corroborating accounts from other veterans, plus this new footage, it's putting a lot of pressure on the government to be more upfront.
It's clear there's a lot more to this story than we may ever know.
Absolutely.
But I think we've uncovered some pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got potential alien tech, psychic powers, secret government programs, cover-ups, and a fight for the truth.
It's quite a story.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But what do you think about all this?
I think this deep dive has certainly given us a lot to ponder.
Yeah.
What strikes me is how much this story challenges our assumptions.
Right.
We're not just talking about lights in the sky anymore.
Right.
We're talking about potential technologies beyond our comprehension.
Yeah.
About the nature of consciousness itself, and about the right to know what our government is doing in our name.
It's a story that forces us to ask some pretty big questions.
Definitely.
Questions about our place in the universe, about the limits of science and technology, and about the balance between national security and transparency.
If even a fraction of what Jacob Barber is saying is true, it changes everything.
Right.
And even if it's not, it shines a light on the very human desire to understand the unknown, to seek out answers, and to demand accountability from those in power.
It's a reminder that there's still so much out there that we don't understand.
Absolutely.
And that sometimes the most incredible stories are the ones that turn out to be true.
That is a good point to end on.
Well, that is all the time we have for this deep dive.
Okay.
Until next time.